BS fact. So Floyd Mayweather fights T.I. for free, but won't fight Manny Pacquiao for $100 million? And the NBA is praying that LeBron comes back to Cleveland. This is another edition of This BS Podcast Show. I'm your host, Brandon Fryer, a.k.a.
The Fry Guys.
I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked just like the rest of y'all to hear that Mayweather and T.I. got into a scuffle and T.I. was swinging. That's crazy. That's something right there. But to get to that old NBA talk too, I did mention the whole, the NBA wants LeBron to come back to Cleveland. Let me say this, it was a joke. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm going to say that the NBA is rigged. The NBA lottery is rigged. I definitely don't believe that, because if it was, I think teams like LA, Boston, Philadelphia, one of those big markets would have got that #1 pick. And I don't believe that Cleveland keeps getting the #1 pick is their way of saying, oh, LeBron's going to come there. I don't even think LeBron's coming there. I think he's thinking about it, but they can't even get, it's too many me-first players there. I know LeBron's very unselfish, but they don't have the coach, the owner. I really count Dan Gilbert being the owner as one of the big reasons why I don't think LeBron probably won't go back there. So I don't really think it's rigged. But it don't matter what NBA team wins. But I was going to say the NBA is rigged. So no matter what, the NBA is rigged. If Utah would have won, they would have said the NBA is rigged. If LA, NBA is rigged. Orlando, NBA is rigged. So no matter what happens, they're always going to say that the NBA is rigged. But welcome to another edition of This BS Podcast Show. I'm your host, Brandon Fryer, a.k.a. The Fry Guy. We got a great show for y'all today. We're going to talk some local stuff, NBA playoffs, your ish. And we also going to get into this one thing. I'm doing a little segment. I'm going to talk to you about that later, so I'm kind of leaving that a surprise. And we're going to talk more about that Mayweather and T.I. thing with Denea. She will be in the building on our Out of Bounds halftime segment. It's going to be pretty good. Have her here. Haven't had her here in a while, so it's going to be good to have her back. But before we get into any of that, let's get you caught up this week with this BS update. Let's start off in the NFL. Has Minnesota has been awarded to host the 2018 Super Bowl. Also, former players sued the NFL for illegal use of risky drugs. The NFL has agreed to move the PAT back 15 yards. And they're only going to do it for the Hall of Fame game and the first 2 preseason games. So kind of experiment with that a little bit. Broncos newly acquired safety T.J. Ward could be facing an arrest warrant for his altercation at a Denver nightclub. The OTA has been happening, and there's been a report that the Cowboys are hoping that this is not true, but linebacker Sean Lee could have a torn ACL, which could require him to probably miss the entire NFL season. Hopefully that ain't the case. 49ers Alden Smith has pleaded no contest to a DUI and weapon charge, and the NFL plans to announce that they want to create a developmental football league. In the NBA, the Cavs, like I said before, win the 2014 draft lottery. They had a 1.7 chance of winning. This is their third #1 pick they got in the last 4 years. Also, there's a report that Donald Sterling will allow his wife to sell the Clippers, and there's already been a report that there have been 6 potential buyers of the Los Angeles Clippers, and that they said the basement right now is about $1.8 billion. If that's the case, this team is going to probably sell for more than $2 billion. Some of the people that's been reported is Yao Ming and Grant Hill as trying to get together and seek ownership of the Clippers. Shane Battier was named the NBA's Teammate of the Year. That's a great award. I never really even heard of that award, but it's good that that's been announced. Sacramento has approved a new Kings Arena deal. Darren Williams of the Brooklyn Nets will have surgery on both of his ankles. Victor Oladipo, Michael Carter-Williams, Mason Plumlee, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke were some of the players that was named to the all-rookie team. Grizzlies head coach Dave Groger declines the deal from the Minnesota Timberwolves to become their new head coach. He will remain with the Memphis Grizzlies, and they're saying that he's probably going to sign an extension with them that will make him the head coach up till 2018. Also, the Washington Wizards and their head coach, Randy Whitman, are close to an extension, so he could stay on as their coach. In the MLB, Texas Rangers DH/first baseman Prince Fielder is done for the season because he's undergoing neck surgery. The Red Sox signed shortstop Stephen Drew back to their team. And the Cubs hired Manny Ramirez to their AAA team to be a player/coach. They didn't really give him a complete title, so I don't know if he's a player. He's a player coach. That's what they said on the report. In boxing, Manny Pacquiao signs a 2-year extension with Top Rank. In soccer, Landon Donovan was left out the U.S. Men's National World Cup squad. That's kind of big news. In the NCAA, Duke beats Notre Dame to become the 2014 lacrosse champion. And Derek Thomas and LaDainian Tomlinson will headline the College Football Hall of Fame class this year. In the NHL, the New York Islanders signed Yarho Halakik to a 4-year, $18 million deal. There's a report, and it's almost pretty much became official, as the Vancouver Canucks hire former Bruins assistant GM Jim Benning as their new GM, and the Washington Capitals hired Jim Trolls as their new head coach. And let's stay with the NHL and talk some NHL playoffs with our own Chicago Blackhawks in our local edition in our first quarter. Let's start our first quarter off with some local and get into these Blackhawks, because I was watching this game and it really disturbed me because, granted, last season the Blackhawks were down 3-1 before against the Red Wings and they came back. But this one I'm a little more worried. It's a different circumstance this time. I can give you their record first off. They're 1-11 all time in their history when they're down 3-1 in a series. And I told you only one time they won was against the Red Wings, and that was last season. But like I said, it's different. And the difference here, to me, from looking at this whole series, especially more of Game 4, was the special teams. They couldn't get nothing done. Most of the Kings' damage was on the power play, and they took advantage of that. The power play was the key there. And another thing, a lot of the whole game in this series, the third period has been key. Either, just like the last game against the Kings, the Blackhawks was right there with them in Game 3, and then once the third period rolled around, Kings just took it up a notch, and they dominated. And then, same with Game 4, granted, they did all their scoring early, but when the Blackhawks looked like they was trying to come back, the Kings took it up another notch with their defense and just stand pat. And I've looked up a stat. They're 0-7 overall when they allow 4 goals or more so far in this postseason. So their defense really needs to step up. That's one of the things they need to improve on. Everybody needs to, put their game up to another level. Everybody needs to elevate that game. But with that being said, some of your star players got to step up too. And now, I was giving him all the praises last week, and now it's like he's stuck now, and that's Jonathan Toews. Jonathan Toews and Sharp have been absent. The Kings have learned to neutralize them. And Seabrook and Duncan Keith, Kings neutralize them. The only one to me except Kane's doing this thing, but it just doesn't look good for them. And I'm more worried now. If they don't learn to make these adjustments real soon, then goodbye to the Blackhawks. I mean, they're 1 game away, and I'm really nervous about the game. I'm giving them some hope. I'm giving them a 15% chance of them coming back and winning the series, but they got to do a complete turnaround and really just take the momentum away from the Kings. Because right now, it's looking like it's going to be a West Coast, East Coast Stanley Cup Finals with the New York Rangers and the Los Angeles Kings. And that's something I don't want. I'm going to give you real quick with the Sox. Nothing really big about them. Just the only thing that's big news to me is when Jose Abreu comes back. And he's on track, they say. He's scheduled to come back this Monday. That's what they say he's supposed to come back. And, man, do the Sox need that big bat in the lineup. And then with the Bulls, nothing really to report on them. I was nervous at first when I told you before in my update that Dave Groger probably would leave, the Grizzlies to become the Minnesota head coach, which means there's already been reports of what Bill Simmons was saying was, if he's gone, the Grizzlies was going to give Tom Thibodeau a Stan Van Gundy type of deal where he's the head coach and president of basketball operations. But Dave Grover stayed back with the Grizzlies, so we don't have to worry about that. So now they're just preparing for this all season, and seeing if they can get either Kevin Love or Carmelo Anthony, or just see what they can do to retool this team to get back to contender status for an NBA title. Another thing that I definitely want to talk about, I want to really get into, are the Chicago Cubs. And with that, the biggest news, you obviously saw Tom Ricketts' sad video that he had with the music in the background. I wish I had that music right now as I'm saying this. But to paraphrase him, he was pretty much saying he's tired of fighting with the rooftop owners, and we're going to proceed. You should have been proceeded. I understand you was being too nice. Tom Ricketts, to me, is a little too nice of a guy, and I understand that. But it's time. It's business. This is business. And so what? You got a case against them. Either they won't settle, forget it. Some situations, to me, needs to be handled in court. And I feel like this is one of them situations. Hey, rooftop owners don't want to settle. They don't want that billboard to block their view. They made money. We signed a contract. They have a good argument. Oh, that's fair. Let the courts decide it. Just do what you're going to do, Cubs, and let the courts decide it. Because, I've been in Wrigley Field, and it needs renovation. It needs improvements. So do it. Just do it. You don't give us the video, Tom Ricketts, to, make yourself the good guy in the rooftop owners. But just do it. Because the people want it. We want it all. Next quarter. All right, here in the second quarter, we're going to talk about some NBA playoffs. And let's recap that Heat and Pacers game. LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh stepped up. The big three stepped up in a major way. And I love the role plays too. Ray Allen, Shane Battier, Hazel, Norris Cole, Rio. They all stepped up. The whole team stepped up. And the Pacers, I really felt like the Heat was just, I think, torn with them. They didn't really turn it up a notch. One thing they did that they normally didn't do in this series was get to an early start. Like, jump on them early in the first quarter. And then once they did that, they did not look back. And I don't think the Pacers had the lead at all during the whole game. It just, I don't know what their recipe is. Hibbert, again, was just garbage. Lance Stevenson, who was doing all that talking about, LeBron's trash talking, it shows a sign of weakness. Well, it really showed his weakness because he was irrelevant in that game, too. David West stepped up. He did his thing. Paul George did okay. He shot efficiently. But I feel like we need more of him to step up as a leader. I think Paul George is a star. He's not in that superstar status. And I said this before. The reason why I think he needs to learn to be a leader, a better leader. And I understand he's looking at LeBron and he looks at him as his older brother and he looks at him and fight. But he needs to really step up more as a teammate. Like, the skills are all there. It's him as a psyche. It just blows him away. He needs one of them 30, 35-point games, and David West got to do what he do, and Hibbert needs to just step up. Because they really generate their offense around Lance Stevenson. I don't think they need to do that. They need to get away from that and really generate their offense around Paul George and let that happen. Or throw it into the big guys. I feel like Lance Stevenson should be your second or third option. That's just my opinion. They got him like he's the number one scoring option of that team because he can handle the ball pretty well. But still, the offense doesn't flow right. Lance Stevenson, he tries to make it the Lance show. It's just ridiculous. And really, the Pacers are beating themselves. And also, let me call some full of bull stuff. I'm not giving my full of bull award out. It's just, Paul George, this is why I say he's not a leader to me. He did the post-game, interview or whatever like that. And as I was watching it, he was up there saying, we the Pacers, we outplayed the Heat. It's just home cooked because they was on their home court. And I'm paraphrasing here. It was on their home court, and really the free throws are different. LeBron commented back and pretty much said the free throws had nothing to do with it. So he pretty much just said, save that ish for the birds. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to hear it. So with that being said, Paul George, step up, take blame. Every time the Pacers lost, it looked like Paul George is always blaming someone else and not himself. He's like, the game prior to that, he was up there saying, you know what, it's tough to get into a rhythm, and, maybe if the coach put me out there and he's like subbing me and something, and he stopped himself because he's blaming everybody else. Now he's up there saying, well, free throws, and he's blaming the refs now. Look, just take accountability for what you and your team did. Just say, look, I'm the leader of this team. It's on me. I need to step up. Don't point blame. I understand you mad that you lost, but don't be pointing blame. Another thing I want to get into, the Spurs and the Thunder are coming up. And here's my question. Is Ibaka enough to overcome the Spurs? Now, granted, he played awesome. I mean, he came out there, Willis Reed-like, he's starting, and he dominated. He started off the game, I think, 5 for 5. He just made an early impact, and the Thunder didn't look back. And also, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook is not going to have a bad shooting night like that again. Ibaka is the key, but I don't feel like a 65, 70% Ibaka is enough for the Thunder to overcome the Spurs. Really, what can help the Thunder overcome the Spurs is them role players stepping up. Thabo Sefolosha, where are you? Steven Adams, where are you? Jeremy Lamb, where are you? Reggie Jackson, come on. We need these players to step up more. Because you know you're gonna get your stuff from Westbrook, Durant, and Ibaka, but you need these role players to step up because they are the key. And granted, they're nice, but they don't like step up when the time is needed. The one thing I like about the Spurs is the Spurs make sure, Greg Popovich, this is why he's the coach of the year. He makes sure that none of his players play more than 30 minutes. He did that all NBA in the regular season. So when it comes to playoff time, his players are known to play big minutes and step up in the time that they need. The Thunder don't do that. You know, Scotty Brooks, he likes to stay with his core. He likes to stay with Kendrick Perkins when he needs to sit down. Steven Adams needs to play more. Nick Collison needs to play more. Jeremy Lin needs more time. He needs more minutes. But you already shot that man's time down when you didn't really let him play as much. And throughout the playoffs, you didn't really let Jeremy Lamb play too much in the playoffs. So now his confidence shot. Tabo's confidence now shot because you always make him sit down. So he's not going to really be effective. You just blow up the whole team. That's why I feel like Scotty Brooks, if they out, I feel like he's out as the coach. Same thing with Frank Vogel, too. I think, you know, Larry Bird might talk to him, too. I'm not saying Frank Vogel's out, but don't be surprised if he is. Let's get into halftime. She's been on hiatus for a minute. She's back in the building. Denea, it's in the building. Denea, what's going on?
Not too much.
Scared you a little bit, didn't I? Yeah, I'm loud. I'm excited that you're here.
Nervous.
Yeah, I know I made you nervous. What you eating on there? Kiwi?
Yeah.
How did that kiwi taste?
I don't know. My lips enough.
Denea's in the building. We here, Out of Bounds segment, halftime. We got to talk about this T.I. Mayweather thing. And I didn't know too much about it. I just, you know, read a little bit, but I didn't really know much. Denea kind of knows a little bit more about it. I ain't trying to say she knows deep in the detail. But, you know, she does her thing. She loves her rumors and gossip. So Denea's about to give us these W. So what happened with this whole T.I. Mayweather stuff?
Okay, so there's two sides of the story. T.I. said he actually connected and punched Mayweather. But in the video, it seems like he just really pretty much punched somebody in his camp. And Mayweather saying that he never hit him at all. And to me personally, I think it's all over T.I. being jealous because I guess Tiny and Mayweather used to date back in the day, so he still has that jealousy. But she's actually down there with him working for his daughter's like birthday party with Shakana, the hairstylist. So
the girl on that show that T.I.
Right, so she's there on business where T.I. is, I don't even know why he's there.
T.I. probably watching.
Right.
I heard T.I. had a show or something. Maybe he's doing something in Vegas. Maybe he's just, you know how T.I. does in the show where he be just scooping and watching.
Like a stalker.
Yeah, he got to stalk it. They say T.I. is jealous because didn't she have a show with Lil Wayne's baby mom? They had a show when T.I. didn't like that.
But then again, rumor has it that T.I. is actually stepping out on Tiny, and if she had something with Floyd Mayweather, it'd be easy to pick up since he's no longer with his fiance. And that is Money Mayweather.
You got any more rumors and gossip?
Malaysia from Basketball Wives she just divorced her husband.
Janelle Pargo.
Yeah, Pargo dude. And now
Chi-Town.
Now they say she's dating Mace. Now is that
Mace the church dude?
Supposedly, which I don't believe. I'm like, I think she could date somebody else, but you know.
Hey, Mace probably got more money than Pargo. Pargo been struggling in the league, so
well,
hey.
Yeah, but it's Malaysia. She should at least be able to get someone relevant. Not saying that he's not. Praise Jesus. Nice.
You think God's gonna attack you? Why?
I just don't want no
You said praise Jesus. That's all you do in the whole sentence. I was like, you think God's gonna attack you right now? What's going on?
No bad vibes.
You don't want no bad vibes?
No bad vibes.
Let's get back into the quarter. Third quarter, it's time for my favorite segment, Your Ish. Yes, I move it up one quarter. I don't care. This is my show. Do whatever I want to do. And it's when you send me your questions via Twitter at this BS show, and I answer them right here on this segment called Your Ish. Let's start off with the first one. D Hotel RU said, is it fair or is there a double standard in the NFL on punishments for owners / GMs and NFL players? I mean, life isn't fair. The saying that my peoples told me was, fair is where they judge pigs. You like that, Denea?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to look at first. You was like, okay, whatever.
Contest.
Right. Yeah, pig fit.
The prettiest pig.
Right. Yeah. So, no, it's not fair. But you got to understand, though, also, D Hotel RU, is that the NFL commissioner actually works for the owners. So he's not going to find the owners. What can they do? What? You can't play a game? You can't go watch a game? You just watch it somewhere else. Like, it doesn't affect him. Now, the players, yeah, it's not fair, but you see all the players going up in a riot for all these NFL owners for what they do, but look at Ray Rice. Granted, he's going to get fined anyway. But look at Ray Rice, and none of the NFL players are saying nothing about that. So it's not fair. It's double standard. It's double standard in life. Life isn't fair. I mean, it just is what it is. I agree. Like, it's not fair, but, it is what it is. Reality Records said, what's worse or what's more disrespectful? Biting someone or spitting? Now, this goes back to Miguel Olivo, former White Sox player, by the way, but he now plays for the LA Dodgers AAA team. And he got into a scuffle with his own teammate, and he decided, I'm a Mike Tyson. I'm going to bite your ear. So he bit his ear. He laughing about it. Got suspended. People say he was going to get suspended 50 games. He actually got released by that team later, and I don't think no team's going to pick him up. But, then I ask you, but I'll answer mine first. I think the worst to me, which is more disrespectful, is someone spitting on me. I feel like spitting to me is more disrespectful. But, Denea, what do you think?
I would think spitting is more disrespectful because it could hit your mouth and you don't know what's in someone's saliva. But, yeah, on the flip side, why would you want to bite someone? You don't know their DNA. Like blood and not...
I feel like only time you should bite someone if your life is in danger. Like someone's coming up behind you and, like self-defense type. Like you getting jumped by multiple people or, someone's coming up behind you and trying to do something physical to you or, rape or something like that. Biting might be the key to get out of that.
Couldn't you still contract something?
You could. I'm not saying you still can't, but I'm saying I feel like biting should only be used in those circumstances. Like if somebody said, oh, they was about to get raped and they decided to bite somebody, I'm not going to say, oh my God, they did them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even thinking like that. Right. But if someone like you having an argument with somebody and then a dude or a girl spits on you, that's just, I'm like,
you're not worth anything.
You're right. Like, yeah, there you go. I spit on you. You nothing. Right. Like, yeah.
In the street.
At Beyond the Buzzer said, what's your take on Mark Cuban's comments on racism? My take was, his thought was incomplete. Like, people was about to attack him if he would have just said, if I saw a black dude with a hood on coming to me, I'm walking across the other street. Then he said, he's like, but if I seen a white dude with tattoos, I'm walking back to the other one. My thing is, he has a fair point, because we all do kind of like stereotype and prejudge people. But with that being said, though, one thing I wouldn't do is he didn't finish it. So he said, like, well, we all have these little stereotypes, but, it is what it is. That's what it's kind of like. But he said he should have went a little more deeper and said, this is how we should try to prevent that. That's my take. He looked like he was going in the right direction, and I know why he's saying that. He's only saying that because he, this whole Donald Sterling thing, and they might go into, like, owners' little, like, personal lives, and if you losing teams for that stuff, for a legal tape conversation, and you losing teams for that, he like, well, I got to watch my own self. I understand that. So it's fair to understand that. Next quarter. Okay, every week I'm going to be doing an article. It's called, and it's a reaction off the NFL's top 100 players of 2014. And MLB, they do something too where it's like top players right now. I'm be doing like the BS top 50 NBA players right now. And the reason why is based off the 2014 NFL season. I'm going to be doing articles. So each week I'm going to give you another 10. So it's a 5-week show and it's going to be leading up to the NBA draft. But I'm going to get into the people who didn't make the cut. I'm always going to like name 5. And then you're going to have to read my article on my Tumblr page, thefryguybs.tumblr.com, to figure out the rest of the list. But I'm only going to give you 5 right now that didn't make the list. So these are actually like 55 to 51 that didn't make the list. So let's start off with this. Darren Williams of the Brooklyn Nets. He's having a bad season. This guy used to be the top point guard of the NBA at one point. It was all about him and Chris Paul. And now, just like 5 years later, he's irrelevant. People can argue that he shouldn't even be 55. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. 54, I got Manu Ginobili. He had kind of a bad start last season, but 2014, he kind of stepped up, and he kind of was in that 6th man of the year race, but he didn't win it. But Manu Ginobili stepped up a little bit. He actually elevated his game after a bad season last one. 53, I got Michael Carter-Williams. Even though the Philadelphia 76ers suck ass, he was the one shining spot of that team. He obviously won the NBA's Rookie of the Year, and he's very promising and a nice building block for the Sixers to build off of. 52, I got Monte Ellis. Reason why I got Monte Ellis, he stepped up his game. He controlled his game. He actually fits right with the Dallas Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki and Jose Calderon. They fit well together. They get a couple of more little pieces, maybe a better defensive center, Tyson Chandler, and a nice small forward, Luol Deng. Dallas Mavericks could be something to mess with. 51, I got the 6th man of the year, Jamal Crawford. The man can score. That's obviously what he can do. But I don't got him in my top 50. He's just beating it out. When I say top 50, I don't have Jamal Crawford. And I tell you, out this BS top 50 NBA players right now, of it, 16 of these players are point guards, 7 are shooting guards, 6 are small forwards, 11 are power forwards, and 10 are centers. So it's real good. You see it's a point guard driven league, so obviously the most is point guards in this list. So stay tuned in. Next week I'm going to tell you like probably 50 to 45. And then the rest you got to look on my Tumblr page for that, for the first top 10. So we're going to start from 50 to 41. And next week on the show I'm going to give you 50 to 46. And then 45 to 41 you got to just look on my Tumblr page. So look out for that. My BS play of the game goes to LA Dodgers pitcher Josh Beckett. He threw a no-hitter earlier this week, and it was the first no-hitter since 1996 from the LA Dodgers history since Hideki Nomo. So he definitely deserved it. And you know what's funny? The Dodgers was almost close from back-to-back, like almost like had a perfect game right after that no-hitter, but the other pitcher gave it up in like the 8th inning. But it was still like marvelous. So Josh Beckett, you are this week's BS player of the game for throwing the first no-hitter of the MLB season. My Fuller Bull goes to all these analysts coming at Johnny Manziel for partying over the weekend. Like, quit hating on him. Like, y'all always trying to nitpick the man. Like, I bet you there's tons of NFL players that went out and celebrated on Memorial Day weekend. Not everybody was stuck doing the playbook. Stop comparing everybody to everybody. Everybody's different. And you learn to accept that. Not everybody's going to do the norm, okay? He can still probably do that and study and probably still end up winning that job and starting quarterback and might do a good job. And then all you haters need to just sit back. So for all you analysts that's up there critiquing and breaking down Johnny Manziel partying with Gronk on Memorial Day weekend, man, don't feed me BS and call it sugar grits. Say that ish for the birds. I want y'all to go on my Tumblr page. That's thefryguyBS.tumblr.com. Go on there. We got videos from Mark Cuban. You can see his whole interview of that whole comments on racism in the world. We got Kanye West, new music, God Level, as he's doing a little ad for Adidas for the World Cup. And we got our picks of the week. Go in there and check it out. Go on @ThisBS Show on Twitter. Send us your questions so we can answer here on Yo Ish. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Got Denea for joining me, Angela Lewis, Devin Washington, Lawrence Holmes, Connor McKnight, Jay Hood, the Game Family. You guys are listeners for listening to my show and give me feedback. I appreciate it. And remember, life is a game, so play hard all 4 quarters. This has been another edition of This BS Podcast Show. I'm your host, the Fry Guy, Brandon Fry. 2 fingers in the air. Peace. I'll see you next week. Oh my God. It is so hot here, man. I cannot. What? Turn the fan on. It's hot.
Bye-bye. Trip. I'm out of here anyway. Peace out.